So, my husband and I are $60,000 in debt.
I know Credit Karma's a little bit behind, but we're about $252,000 in total debt, $68,000 in credit cards, $172,000 in student loans, and $13,000 in an auto loans.
I am in $23,700 of credit card debt, which may feel like a lot to you. That may feel like a lot to you, okay? And that's because it is. I'm just gonna be transparent, that's because it is. But for me, that's the lowest amount of debt that I've been in for over a year.
Okay, let me tell you a story. I'm just gonna take a number off the top of my head. I think I'm $20,000 in credit card debt. And before you judge, but I don't really care if you judge, I'm gonna tell you why.
Me and my husband are $51,862.90 in debt right now.
How do people get into this insane amount of debt? Let's talk about it. But before we do, I want to preface this by saying this is not a shade or me throwing shade or saying that debt is always bad. No, some of the wealthiest billionaires out there still have debt till today. Sometimes debt could be part of life, it's normal. But we are talking about those excessive, insane amount of debt cycle that the average person have gotten into that is ruining their finances. So how do these people get into this huge credit card debt? Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. If you're new here, welcome. Hope you stick around by subscribing below. I discuss finance, travel, and lifestyle on this channel. So if that's something that you'd like, please stick around by subscribing. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. If you enjoy watching this video, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts about this topic today.
So, I'm currently going viral on the internet for having $65,000 in credit card debt. But I wanted to talk about what we spent. So I expected to get a large bonus. That is a huge mistake. I have learned my lesson because I was expecting a huge bonus. We dipped into our emergency fund and did some house maintenance. I also prepaid to have a tummy tuck because I had lost 125 pounds. I was scheduled to have a tummy tuck 2 weeks before I lost my job and also when I was expecting the bonus. What should have been my bonus meeting was a meeting me finding out I was laid off.
As we heard from this lady that currently has $65,000 credit card debt, we can see that she was a high income earner that lost her job and had to fall into survival mode. She's also the breadwinner of our family, so it was literally like getting into financial crisis. So what is the problem that I see with what she has said? Do not spend in anticipation of income yet to be earned. This is something a lot of people do. And this is why we have people currently living paycheck to paycheck. They are currently living on the edge of life such that if any emergency situation happen, any life issues happen, they cannot fund it, they cannot take care of it because they have to wait for the next paycheck to cover their basic needs. Now, in this lady's case, it's even worse because she's expecting a huge amount of bonus that never came through and she lost her job. But prior to that, she has already incurred all of these expenses in anticipation for the income that is yet to be earned, which is the problem here. We have to understand that no job is guaranteed. Even if you've worked there for several years, you have to know that anything can happen, except is maybe your own company. And even if you own the company, business is not even always guaranteed either. Recently, we've seen the rise in massive layoff even in big companies. Companies are downsizing because they can no longer afford to keep all of these employees on their payroll. So now you are not sure about that job that you've been working at for several years. You are currently in a senior role or you've been there, you've given your all to the job. You are not sure about it. So in her own case, she was so sure that she's seen how much the company is making and she could potentially get a bonus. But she did not, little did she know that the next call she'd be getting on would be her getting fired. And now that that happened, they had to fall back to survival mode, and the survival mode was using their credit card. I'd love to take this opportunity to invite you to participate in a 30-day challenge to make an extra $1,000 online in a month. Join the Make Extra $1,000 in 30-day challenge. I will show you the exact tools and skills you need to build a side income and use social media to maximize your earnings. All you need is your phone. Anyone, anywhere can join, even if you have no experience. You will learn how to create a profitable product, find your ideal customer, sell on social media, and even turn it into a passive income stream. Also, there is an exclusive WhatsApp group where you can ask questions and connect with other participants. The challenge starts September 1st and lasts for 30 days. There will be prizes for 3 top winners. So join the challenge now so you too can start making passive income. The link would be in the description and pinned to the top right or left here, and I'll see you on the inside. So let's get back to the video.
I got through a very long interview process. They eliminated the position before I even started. But we had put all of our variable expenses on credit cards. But we also had been living life like we were $400,000 a year earners. We had bought both of our cars before I lost my job. And instead of focusing back on rebuilding our savings, paying off the debt, we spent a lot of money. We had Disney annual passes, so we were going to Disney a lot. We took a family vacation. We shouldn't have done that. $65,000 in credit card debt, to me, was a privilege. It was a Disney trip. It was a tummy tuck. These are not real problems.
Another issue that I have with this situation is the fact that I expect that high earners should have high value investments, so that if at all anything happens to your job, then you could still have income from your investments. Another thing is, because you are a high earner, there's potential that your cost of living would be higher or would be within that bracket that you're currently earning. And now that situations like this have happened, you have to be willing to start cutting back on cost. This lady mentioned that they had just gotten a car, but they didn't want to return it. They had just done some own innovation. She got a Botox, she did some surgery and all of that. And because they have paid for it, she didn't want to return or cancel those things. First of all, when you have a situation where you have to fall back to survival mode with your finances, the first thing you need to do is to start cutting off all those high expenses that you have typically. So if you don't have them already paid off, you need to start getting rid of them, because these are liability sinking purchases. So if you have an expensive car that you have just gotten and now you no longer have income to keep up with it, you gotta go. All of those luxury purchases, family vacations, you have to put a hold on them and focus on rebuilding your finances. Yes, in the interim, you might be able to fall back on the income from your high investments, or maybe use your emergency fund, which I expect that if you're a high income earner, you should have saved up even more. The average emergency fund for the average person is around 3 to 6 months. But if you are a high income earner, I would expect you to have probably saved around 12 months of your monthly living expenses at the time. So for example, you're someone that you spend, let's say your family monthly spend is around $10,000 a month, and you're able to cater for it easily because you have huge or high income. That's okay. That means you should have saved up $10,000 for the next 12 months, just in case anything happens. You have to start taking a step back to figure out what you need to cut out from your cost or your expenses so that you don't go into full force crisis. Get rid of all of those liability sinking purchases, put a hold on them until you get a new job and you're able to build back up, pay off all your debt, save up your emergency funds again before getting back into that lifestyle.
So I know Credit Karma's a little bit behind, but we're about $252,000 in total debt, $68,000 in credit cards, $172,000 in student loans, and $13,000 in an auto loans.
This man's situation is very heartbreaking because he currently has over $252,000 in total debt, and $68,000 of that is credit card debt. And we all know that credit card debt is one of the most expensive form of debt that you could possibly have, because they charge you ridiculous interest rate as high as 22%, and this interest continues to accrue as the day goes by. But I have a huge concern as to how he accumulated this amount of debt. So out of curiosity, I went to his profile to find video where he talked about how he spent the money. Now let's take a look.
We're going to be talking about my credit card debt that reached $68,000 this month, or this week. Let's look at what I spent this week. I spent about $87 in gas. What was that? $94 on food so far. I went out to a restaurant, and actually I bought groceries because I did a dinner with one of my friends. So that's why I spent a little bit more on food. Yeah, as you can see, we made credit card payments, and then miscellaneous, and then healthcare, guys, was $650. $270, and student loan payments $107, credit card payments $2,100, enjoyment $79, healthcare $838. That's my healthcare insurance and all my co-pays for all my pills I take. And then the gym was $24.99. Planet Fitness come in clutch. And the miscellaneous, we had $1,103 in expenses. That is almost double January. So I don't know where the miscellaneous charges came from, you guys.
As you can hear from this man and the other people that have all this insane amount of debt, none of them are buying any essential purchases with the credit card, and that in itself is a big concern. They spend on non-essential, they spend on things they don't need for survival, like buying furniture, buying cars, going on vacation, doing home renovation, buying luxury items. All of these things you can absolutely live life without.
Asked literally all the time how the hell I was able to accumulate $50,000 of credit card debt in like a 6-year span. And let me be the first to say, like, preface this by, I know I did not make the wisest decisions back then. 18-year-old me, 22-year-old me running around with a credit card, like, I get it, I know, I don't need the hate. But I was obviously spending way above my means. So when I got into $50,000 of debt, this was not like over a 1-2 year span. No, it started off small. My very first credit card, the limit was only like $250, right? And then as you start using it, they start to give you more credit. And then as you start to get more credit, you're like, oh, this is cool. Let me get another card. Oh, this one's got a cash back card. Let me get another card. And the next thing I knew, I had like 4 credit cards.
We can also see that some of them just completely lack financial discipline. They don't have self-control when it comes to spending money. And this is something I always talk about, that people learn from a very young age. So from your growing up, you learn how to manage money from your parents. And as you grow to becoming an adult, those behavior would be instilled in you and shape the way you view money. Now, if you're someone that you grew up in a household where you didn't learn how to manage money the right way, then this becomes an issue where you have to be intentional about fixing this mindset that you have as an adult. But there are also people that resort to emotional spending just because maybe they are having a bad day. If that's the case, you need to actually take a sit down with yourself and address the real problem. Why do you feel this way? What is going on with you? Instead of resorting to making reckless purchases to keep yourself going, you have to address the real problem.
Currently, I have just over 20,000 separated over 3 different credit cards on 0% interest rates. The point was, my spending habits never changed. They never changed. So while it went right down and gave me a huge sense of relief at one point, it just went straight back up. I never changed it. And the amount of times I would get a money transfer to pay off my overdraft, and then just it would rack straight back up. My spending habits never changed. And that's why I kept falling back into debt like a magic.
And some of these other people that we can see that are currently in this huge debt cycle, they are just oblivious of the implication of having huge debt. Because they lack financial education, they don't know the cost of having debt. They don't know that this debt is increasing the amount of debt that they have as the day goes by. They don't know that it's not only going to affect their credit score, but it will also affect their ability to make some big financial moves in the future, like buying a home, for example. It would limit your ability to access getting a mortgage. You probably want to get student loan. You would also not be able to get that if you have bad credit. You want to start a business and you need funds to invest in it, then you might not be granted a loan to start your business because, again, you've made poor financial decisions in the past. So sometimes people are oblivious to the implication that this huge debt can cost them in the future. And it's not something that will just go away by the blink of an eye or will just leave you by tomorrow. No. But if you're out there watching this video, or you know someone that might find this video beneficial, I would like to share with you some solutions that would help anyone that currently has huge amount of debt and is ready to get out of this huge debt trap that they're falling into. I'll start off with the basic stuff that you should already be doing, then I'll move on to something more advanced for you. The first and most important thing is for you to increase your income. So you need to start thinking, do you need to get a higher paying job? Do you need to get a second job? Do you need to start doing side gigs like doing Uber on the weekend, DoorDash, or whatever it is that would help you earn extra income? you need to do that. Prioritize making more money so that you can start paying down your debt. Next is to start cutting back on costs, especially those liability sinking purchases that you have or expenses. If it's like an expensive car, something like that you currently have to pay a lot of money for on monthly basis, start to cut them out. Anything that you are spending money on right now that is not adding value and is not an essential, you need to start cutting them out. Try as much as you can to reduce your recurring expenses. Next is for you to also prioritize paying off high interest debt like your credit card debt. Credit card debt is one of the worst kind of debt you could ever have, so you want to prioritize paying them off as soon as possible. So you can either decide to start paying them off by the ones with a higher interest rate, or start to pay off by the ones that you have the smallest balance. So prioritize paying off your high interest debt or paying off the smaller ones first. Now, moving on to the advanced stuff, it might be time for you to start considering getting into debt recovery programs. Some banks or credit card provider call it negotiation program, where they will take your credit card and all the other kind of debts that you have with them and put it into a low interest account, then allow you to start paying them off slowly. Now, what that does is, one, it reduces your interest significantly, because again, as you continue to accrue more interest, then your debt would continue to increase. But with programs like this, they might transfer all of your credit into one single account. So if you have multiple credit cards with the same company, they'll put all this debt into a kind of account that has low interest, and you can start to pay them down slowly. The only downside to this is most times they would freeze your credit card just so you don't continue to accrue more debt until you fully pay them off before you'd now be allowed to use your credit card again. And I think that's a very good solution offered by these credit card companies to help people get out of the debt cycle. This is a kind of low interest loan that you get, and you can use it to pay off all of your credit card, and you now start paying down that loan itself. Most times the loan usually come at a lesser interest rate than what you have with your credit card. So for example, if you have credit card with different companies, American Express, Capital One, BMO, all of these credit card companies, you can now get a bigger loan from a company, which is usually called a debt consolidation loan. It will be at a much lower interest, then you can pay them off. Or you could also get like a line of credit, then pay off all of your credit card loans, and now start focusing on paying down that loan. But you want to be careful to make sure that you don't accrue any more debt on that credit card. As a matter of fact, if you resort to using a debt consolidation loan, you want to continue to pay off that loan as well as pay for other things using 100% debit. No more credits. Maybe you freeze your credit card or put them away, but never buy on credit anymore until you get rid of all of this huge debt and your loan that you have just collected. Because if you don't do that, the trap is you might forget that you still have debts that you are paying for that credit card, because now it's in a lower interest account. You don't see them anymore. The balances does not show on your credit card statement. Then you think, oh, I still have some room to spend. Then you start to spend and you accrue that debt and you fall back into the cycle again. So it continues to feel like you are on a hamster wheel. So you don't want that to happen. So put that card away. Prioritize paying down your personal loan or the consolidation loan you have just gotten to get off this credit card debt. Next is the debt forgiveness programs. Some banks and credit card institutions, even government, would forgive you off some loan. It would depend on what the loan was for. Sometimes it's mostly for education or for businesses, some situations like that, and maybe you are not just able to financially cover them, so they could forgive a portion of it. It could also be maybe the interest that they let go of and just ask you to pay the principal. You want to make sure you take some time to do some research about this and see if this is an option for you. If the debt forgiveness program is available, you want to take that as well. Next is for you to seek professional help. Find a credit counselor, a financial advisor, or maybe a bankruptcy lawyer, depending on how much debt you have, so that you can speak to them about your situation and see what options are available for you. And the last resort would be for you to file for bankruptcy. I know that this is something that not a lot of people want, but sometimes that might be your best option for you to have a fresh start. This would be your last resort, but try as much as you can to see if you can get rid of paying down those debts, because if you file for bankruptcy, it will be on your credit file for, I think, at least 3 to 5 years, depending on the country. So you want to make sure that you're only using this as your last resort after you've explored other options. Now, I'd like to hear from you, my viewers, as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What solutions you have, suggestion. What do you think about this insane or excessive credit card debt people are getting into these days? How is it even happening? How can we help them? What solutions do you have, or what advice do you have? for people? Do you think their spending is justified? Do you think it's okay to make emotional spending or emotional purchases if you're having a bad day? What do you think? I just want to hear from you. I want to be sure that I'm not the only one with these thoughts and how other people as well feel about it. And also make sure to keep it respectful, as I want to learn and I want others to learn from you as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy watching this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're yet to subscribe, please consider subscribing below, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.